we'll go ahead and get that fairly rapidly, so uniform look to it. Yeah. I know if y'all put much thought into the mask or
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the council.
Okay.
I will just, we're talking about it, let's see.
Yeah, so after this. It's just because it expires on the 15th.
We'll see what they want to do.
The only time to do it, unless we call it a special meeting.
That's why I wanted to act now, so we don't have to talk.
Exactly, I was trying to avoid that. I was glad to see you have the plaques.
I do, but we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get those
Okay,
crackling
because
mushrooms?
it occurred to me after that, I'm like,
Yeah, that's what we did last time. I want to keep it,
Yeah, I was
because
glad you
we
held
always
on.
do have a meeting
I get
with
it.
council. And then I give the flags and
How's it going?
flowers.
Hey, Marcus, how you doing, buddy?
And as soon as that's over, we swear the new ones in.
They're white, and then they turn to be to look like a crab leg.
I see those.
not seen
I have the
And they
ones,
s- and
have the
they
ones that
stink.
they start out little, and the next thing you know, they're this big, and literally overnight. They go from nothing to like
Yeah,
big
these will-
white.
These will start off a little
type
white
things.
like that, and then all of a sudden, poor crab leg.
they can be there, so we need to follow with them.
Ah, there you go.
Smells so good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we didn't have a separate agenda, so there wasn't really a lot of point, I guess. When I first saw that we were having a joint town council, and we were kind of replacing phone town council meeting, I could see this going on
I
until.
wouldn't know. I didn't go. I was wrapping up Comic-Con. Comic-Con, Soda City Comic-Con. Yeah, I had that this weekend. Good. We had good attendance. Good attendance. So I was out of pocket all week, or all weekend. Friday, Saturday. Oh, I'm tired. Yeah, this. Really don't want to be here right now.
Just stayed home and zoomed it.
If I would have zoomed it, I'd have slept.
I'm glad to hear you had a good crowd.
We did. We did all right.
Party of 10 on, Mr. Party of 10.
They're okay.
I thought you were gonna bring on
There's a little,
kids or stuff.
a little bit higher.
So
Inventory still.
We said I did. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they.
Price tag.
They did not. We were in there. It was like, it was not, good as far as.
How you doing?
I don't think it's.
Yes, Melinda's and yeah, you did.
People to do.
Surprised me. I wish I was. I could put a big number on it.
Closer to you, Sarah Lynn.
Well, there's always a price. Let's go.
Did y'all at least win?
What?
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
That was unusual.
At 6.
Learn, bring.
Yeah.
Because we went in.
A lot of it, like the building, I mean, a lot of it is realize like, Blythwood and a lot of it.
I left the light on.
Wow.
Right.
Hopefully they'll talk about it. This would be a good task.
All right.
ARP.
I will call to order the Town Council Joint Planning Session with the Planning Commission. Today is November 1st. The time is now 6 p.m. And in the outset tonight, I just want to thank you all, the community as a whole, for the prayers for my family. Thank you all for the flowers, the cards, the social media posts, the food, and the genuine outpouring of love, and we really appreciate it. Ms. Cowan, please call the roll. I'm here.
Present.
Here.
Present. Here.
Ms. Cowan, please call the roll for the Planning Commission.
Here.
Here.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Was the notification and posting of the meeting agendas completed in accordance with state law? Thank you. Gentlemen, before you is the tonight's agenda. I'll be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve as presented.
Second. It's been properly motioned and seconded to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. Thank you. Please join Councilman Ballman for the Pledge of Allegiance and tonight's invocation.
Our gracious, most heavenly Father, I just come to you tonight, Father, giving you thanks for who you are. Father, I just want to continue lifting up our mayor, Brian Franklin, and Dusty, and their entire family on the loss of their son, Father. I just pray your mercy, your grace, your understanding just be poured out upon them, Father. I ask that you continue to care for them daily as we surround them with love and keep them through all this that they're going through. Father, we do lift up Shannon's father, so understand that he had a medical issue today. I just pray your hand be upon him. It be your will that you bring him through and healing totally, Father. Father, I call on your presence here in this meeting. I ask that you guide and direct all that we say and do, and may all that we say and do just bring honor and glory to you. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, in your packets tonight, we have the Town Council regular meeting minutes from September 27, 2021. I'll be looking for a motion to approve those.
Yeah, no corrections, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved.
Second. It's been properly motioned and seconded to approve the Town Council regular meeting minutes from September 27, 2021. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Minutes are approved. And tonight I have a note to read from Ms. Clarissa and the staff from the golf tournament to Mayor Franklin and Blythwood Town Council on behalf of the staff, players, and Pro-Am participants. Thank you for your generous support of the 2021 South Carolina Women's Open. Our continued success and status of being the best Open in the USA should be a true source of pride for the town of Blythwood for many years to come. Our growth in 2022 is truly exciting. Thank you always, Ms. Clarissa and staff. So I just want to read that to the record. We'll move to paragraph 2 tonight, discussion items, the presentation of the draft update of the comprehensive plan by Mr. Gregory Sprouse of the Central Midlands Council of Governments. Sir, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me. So we are getting close to the finish line on the comprehensive plan update. As you know, we had the public meeting on September 23rd where we presented some of the existing conditions information that I've brought to both the Planning Commission and Council at various times over the past year. And we also presented a summary of the public survey and a draft of the goals and strategies. And since then, we've been working on preparing the final draft of the plan. So what I'm going to present to you tonight is basically the framework of the plan as we've designed it, with some discussion of the findings, the goals, and the strategies for each of the required elements. So in terms of timeline and process, we'll be finalizing this draft over the next couple of weeks and submit it to the Planning Commission for consideration at their December meeting. And per the state law, they will adopt a resolution recommending the plan to council for approval. And once they recommend it, we then hold another public hearing, and then council will be asked to adopt the plan by ordinance. So that's all what the regulations say per state law for the comprehensive plan. So what you see before you is on the presentation is the pages from the introduction chapter of the document that outlines this process that I just described, as well as describes how the plan is organized, which basically consists of a chapter for each of the required 10 elements. That includes a discussion of the existing conditions with the maps, tables, and figures, and includes a series of goals and implementation strategies that relate to each of these 10 elements. So we have a table in the document that summarizes those 10 elements, and just to remind you all, that includes discussion of population and growth trends, housing conditions, natural cultural resources, economic development, transportation, community facilities, land use, priority investment, and resiliency. So also in this introductory chapter is a summary of the public input that we received. So the public input process consisted of the public survey that was conducted, as well as the public meeting that we held in September. And what you see here is a table that basically summarizes all of that content, kind of aggregated into 4 different areas, those things that people responded to saying why they chose Blythwood as their home, the assets or positive changes that are recognized in the community, concerns, negative changes, and then a column on what we are missing. I've also included in there a table that summarizes basically a lot of the things that we felt that the community felt like was missing, and ranked that based on the responses that we received from the survey. So we presented all this information as well as at the public input meeting, and they kind of confirmed, we asked folks to look at that and confirm and provide additional input on these various different elements. So from the public input process, the existing conditions information that we compiled, and the strategic planning session that council did earlier this year, we created a vision and value statement. That vision and value statement basically comes from that strategic planning session. And then we created the comprehensive plan goals that are designed to achieve this vision for the town. And so I'm not going to read through each one of these now. I'll kind of talk about each one as we go, but they are designed to reflect all of that public input, council's will from the strategic planning session, and the data and information that we've collected. So what I'm going to show you is basically the outline of or framework of the document itself. So what each chapter will consist of is it'll focus on a specific element, and it will present all of those maps and tables and figures in a graphic format, and then each chapter will conclude with a bulleted summary of key findings. So for the population element, for instance, it talks about the 2020 population numbers and the growth that we've seen. It has a section, a brief narrative section that I call issues and opportunities that summarizes some of those key things that we've pulled out of that information that are really important and that we then translate into the goals and strategies. So primarily relating to the population element, we have the goal about supporting the health, economic well-being, and quality of life for residents and visitors and businesses. And then we've outlined a number of kind of specific strategies designed to really relate to that. So I probably don't want to take up your time reading through this. The information that we've sent out has all of those goals and strategies listed, but I did want to make sure that you saw that we've done this for each one of those chapters, and this summary page is basically designed to provide the context for which we've developed the goals and strategies, and give you a really ability to kind of look and summarize for each of those elements the information that we're taking away from it. So probably what the best thing to do is just summarize on the issues and opportunities for each one that are really important. So under population, we'll have a short discussion of growth management, the need to provide for the different generations that we're seeing. Though we have a very young population in the town of Blythwood, we're also recognizing through the data that we're seeing an increase in the aging population, so we have to make sure that we're accommodating everybody, as well as diversity and equity and public health considerations. For the economic element, looking at local business development, the industrial park, which we know is a very important piece that is going to be happening in the next several years, as well as marketing and positioning the town to really be a regional event destination and activity center. For the housing element, looking at housing diversity and doing things to promote the inclusion of a mix of different housing types, as well as preserving the existing neighborhoods and the types of development that we have throughout the town, as well as coordinating closely with Richland County because of all of the development that's occurring outside of the town limits. For the natural resources, we've recognized in the existing conditions inventory that we have basically all the watersheds that are within the town limits and surrounding areas are impaired, so there's things that we can do to work with partners to help address the water quality concerns. We heard a lot in the public input, the need for preserving agriculture and working land and the rural landscape in the area, so this is one area that this fits in, as well as trail and open space preservation. For the cultural resources, focusing on using the cultural resource and historical amenities that we have here as recognizing that as a community asset and using it and leveraging it to help draw more people to the town and coordinate with some of those other goals, as well as promoting the town as a regional event destination and activity center. So that's a common theme that pops up a lot in a lot of these different elements. For the transportation side, traffic impacts from new developments is definitely something that we heard a lot about, and we know there's a lot of concern about, as well as with the town not having a lot of control over those transportation issues, making sure that we're doing everything we can to coordinate closely with those entities that do have the ability to fund and implement transportation projects. So coordinating with the COG, coordinating with Richland County. Also, the Blythwood Traffic Improvement Area Plan had a lot of really great recommendations, so we want to call that out and specifically talk about the importance of that and looking at that for some of those lower cost traffic mitigation solutions that are presented in that plan, as well as the idea about promoting a trail and greenway planning for this part of the county. For community services, we know from our research that one of the challenges that the town faces is the fact that we rely on intergovernmental agreements for providing a lot of public services, so continuing to support that close coordination with those entities to make sure that we're doing everything we can to provide the best quality services. And then specifically calling out, because this is something that we heard a lot about in the public input, the need for additional park and recreation facilities, both here at Doco Meadows and continuing to expand and improve the park on an ongoing basis, as well as working with Richland County to develop some sort of regional active recreational facility. Then the land use side is really focused on the zoning and land development regulations, so we've recognized the need to revisit that, which is a very common step after adopting the comprehensive plan, because the zoning ordinance and land development regulations are an implementation tool of the comprehensive plan. So in working with the Planning Commission, we've identified a number of things that we could be looking at as we go through those updates, focusing priorities on annexation policies and priority areas, as well as open space preservation and continuing to support the town center district. And then on the resilience element, this is the element that the newest one that was put into state law last year that asks the communities to focus on natural hazard mitigation as well as other types of resilience. One area that we've called out that's really important from the pandemic is economic resilience and recovery, so we'll have a little section that discusses that. But for this element, a lot of it places a lot of importance on continued governmental and stakeholder coordination. And that carries over into the priority investment element, which closely aligns with the community facilities, because it focuses on that coordination piece as well as continuing to look for additional new revenue and funding sources to implement the needs and leverage opportunities within the town. So that's the basic summary. The last thing I wanted to mention is the 12th chapter of this document is what we're called the implementation plan. So by state law, we don't just have to identify goals and action strategies, but we have to coordinate that with who the responsible entities are, as well as putting some kind of time frames on it. So for a document like this, I generally like to break that into short, medium, and long-term strategies, and then those things that we need to be doing on an ongoing basis. So for each one of those goals and strategies that we just went through, there's a corresponding table at the end of the document that outlines the responsibility, the time frame, and then also, as you'll notice, a lot of these goals and strategies overlap these different elements. So it's really important to kind of relate them so that even though I'm putting them in the population section, they also have implications for the community facilities element. So you'll see that throughout the document. So I won't go through all of these, but that is essentially the framework that we've designed. And at this point, if you have any questions or comments, I would be happy to answer them.
Questions or comments?
No, sir. Actually, the Planning Commission has seen this, lived with this, massaged this, changed it several times, and with Gregory's help have come up with what you see this evening. And then by January, hopefully, that'll be put in motion and council can act on recommendations through the public hearing accordingly. So Malcolm has headed up a lot of this from a Planning Commission standpoint. So I don't want to speak for the entire planning commission, but I certainly appreciate your leadership there. Gregory, great job of listening to not only the planning commission, but the stakeholder survey and the public hearing session, what the residents had to say. A long time got us here, so I'm glad we don't have to update it for 5 years.
With that being said, I'll just say that it's an ongoing process. So things change, we can always update and add and edit. And that 5-year update, especially with the 2020 census data rolling out over the next couple years, will be a really good time to put all that into the document. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work here in the Planning Commission, and this is a culmination of a lot of hard work. And Malcolm, thank you, sir. And thank you, Rich, for your leadership and taking a small strategic planning session and putting it into motion and then tying it to timelines, which Mr. Williamson's going to do, make sure we put it in our agenda so we're addressing in a timely manner these initiatives. So any other comments, council members?
Thank y'all, all of you, for your work.
All right, with that, we'll move to tonight's action items. Part A, Emergency Ordinance 2021.015, an ordinance to extend the requirement to wear a face mask to help alleviate the spread of COVID-19 in the town of Blythwood. As you know, we have an emergency ordinance in place that will expire on the 15th of November unless the council tonight decides to extend that or let it expire on the 15th. So with that, I'll open the floor to any comments. Mr. Williamson, you have any comments, any surrounding municipalities and their status?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Richland County's mask ordinance expires on November 14th. And I don't have the exact date for the city of Columbia, but I believe it's early December. They extended it in early October, I believe, for 60 days. And Forest Acres, they haven't updated their website, but I believe they renewed for another 30 days in mid-October, and so sometime in mid-November. So all similar time frame as when ours expires. Town of Winsboro never put in place a mask ordinance.
Okay. So what be the will of the council? Any comments about this? So the options before us would be to allow it to expire on the 15th of November or continue it for 60 days.
Mr. Mayor.
Please, Councilman Griffin.
What has happened since we put this in place? Has there been any follow-up on the mask ordinance? I haven't seen or heard anything. I mean, we put the mask ordinance in place, and I know everybody's not wearing the mask, not businesses are not. So what's the purpose?
Good question. So do we see it as an effective ordinance, or is it something that we should allow citizens to choose at this point?
I'm all for choice.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Please, Councilman Sloan Griffin.
So, just on one side professionally, I think we're at a point where personal choice will fall into this, because the numbers are going down. There may be some talks of concerns later on about Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, but we can pause and wait on all of that. But the overall public consumption is the vaccines out there. The vaccine's working. It's available. The county has been giving away shots on the regular with gift cards. So the opportunity exists, and the numbers are going down. And I agree with Councilman Larry Griffin. You know, we're at that point now where it is or is not. I'll be in favor for giving the public that choice right now, since we're at numbers below 500, I believe, right now in the state.
I agree with them 100%. I think it's all choice. I don't think we should be forcing it on them. I go out every day or in town, and I see half the people wear them, half people don't. They have the signs up, but, you know, people coming in off the interstate, they they don't know, and they walk right into business, so I think we just let it expire.
Other comments?
I will add, can I add
Please,
something?
sir.
So I think most of the big box stores like Food Line, some of these national chain or regional chain, they're going to still follow whatever policies that their company put forth. So, although we may let ours roll out, Food Line and McDonald's and Lizard Thicket may still continue to enforce that within their establishment.
Mr. Mayor,
Please, Councilman Griffin.
I probably would vote to let it expire, but I have a personally involved in this because I had close people that died from COVID, and my grandson had COVID. And I have personal thinking about it. I understand about its choice, but you're also making a choice on my life, too. Your choice, you say that I have a choice that I can do what I want to do, but you can't do that. That choice doesn't take care of me. If we're in the same room, we're doing the same things, you don't wear a mask, and it can affect me. But it may not affect you, but it can affect me. So with that being said, I just want everybody to understand that this is not over. I mean, this pandemic is not over by a long shot. Although we take it because of the immunization, we're taking that from the standpoint of it's okay because I got my shot, and that may be true, but there are still people dying. And my point here is, I'll vote with the group because I noticed the consensus here is that we don't want to do the mask. So if that's the town consensus is, I'm just giving you my viewpoint and where I stand with it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Taking no action would mean it would expire on the 15th of November.
Mr. Mayor, may I make?
Please.
Can I make a suggestion for a recommendation? Although we're making a move to let it expire with no action tonight, but we still remain available to give out masks to the public via like we've been doing. Just in case we still have pockets of people, just like Councilman Griffin stated, that do want it, and then we have some that don't. So I just ask for the town, for your support to keep that available in town hall to give out masks.
Absolutely. And we will do that. So do we have any motion? Hearing none, we will move to the second reading tonight of ordinance 2021.012, zoning map amendment 2021-02-MA, rural district to multi-neighborhood commercial district, architectural overlay district. This amendment would rezone property located along Langford Road, which is TMS number 17800-01-01, 10.4 acres. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no additional comments since first reading. Nothing has changed.
Mr. Mayor,
Please, Councilman Rock.
Mr. Williamson, I'm going to maybe do a little bit of front running, but has there been any change to action items B, C, or D from the first reading?
There have been no changes, Mr. Councilman.
If it pleases the council, I'd like to make a motion to approve B, C, and D by unanimous consent.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been probably motion and seconded to approve the second reading of ordinance 2021.012, ordinance 2021.013, and ordinance 2021.014. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Please, Councilman Griffin.
question. This 10.4 acres on Langford Road, where exactly is that?
It's across from Blythwood Farm subdivision, but further towards the town. And it's, do you know where the field that has the pecan trees in it? It's the wooded portion that adjoins that section, going further south on Langford. So it's immediately adjacent to that field, but it's still a wooded section there.
I'm familiar. I just want,
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The second reading's passed. Part E tonight, discussion and approval of a sponsorship for the Gateway to the Army Association Centennial Park fundraiser. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Gateway to the Army Association is having a fundraiser for its Centennial Park to be built to honor Fort Jackson and to celebrate its 100-year anniversary. Included in your packet is a detailed progress report describing the project. And the Gateway to the Army Association is requesting that the town sponsor its fundraiser, which is on November 10th. Also included in your packet is the sponsor information packet. And just for context, in October 2019, Town Council allocated $15,000 towards the Centennial Park.
And in your package, you have an assortment of sponsorships available if you choose, anything from $750 to $15,000.
Mr. Mayor.
Please, Councilman Brock.
Mr. Williamson, the 19 funding from council for 15,000, is that for the fundraiser or for the overall park? The initial funding, the first funding?
I believe it was for the park.
Okay.
Yeah, that was for the park, not a.
Okay, and in this email that was received on October 7th, it looks like they're requesting 15,000 for the fundraiser and another 35,000 for the project. Are we addressing both those requests or just the fundraising request tonight?
Well, both of them is what he's requesting, but
Okay.
what,
Okay, well, in your last line on your memo says this project can be funded using hospitality or accommodations funds. Well, I'm looking at our approved budget, and for state accommodations, it looks like the remaining amount for allocation is zero. For ATAX, we were actually over budget, $1,800, and for hospitality, $49.72. So my question is, where would this $50,000 come from?
right, so it would have to be an approval to use from the fund balance of one of those funds. I mean, it is eligible to be used by those funds.
Okay.
But it would require council approval since it was not in the budget, and so it's, clearly outside of what we budgeted.
Would this require a budget amendment?
We will do a budget amendment in the spring, but we don't have to do it. I mean, if the council approves using the fund balance, then we wouldn't necessarily have to make a budget amendment for that approval.
Mr. Mayor, question.
Please.
So policy-wise, are we following the policy that we put in place to approve events? Because this is something that's needed now, correct?
My understanding is that this is their final fundraiser to complete the park. And so they've asked all other municipalities, I think Forest Acres gave, do you remember what Forest Acres?
I believe they gave 15,000,
Yeah,
or maybe
as
more than that, but they were located right there at the
Yeah,
entrance,
yeah.
yeah.
They've given it 50 at one time.
50, yeah.
Even Lexington County gave 50. Richland County gave 300. Right. City of Columbia, 300. Right. We gave the 15,000.
I'm not opposed of the event or for the cause. I'm just asking from a policy standpoint, are we opening Pandora's box, sort of say, by giving funds across the table when we basically are holding everybody else to a standard to wait until the February, March timeframe to apply?
Please.
the answer to your question is no. think you already know that we're not following the orders that we put in place. And the question I asked when we put that in place was, what happens if something comes up that's not in the in the budget? We've gone through these and we made exceptions already. My question to the council is going to be, when are you going to say no? And when you say no, who's going to be hurt because you gave such and such and such and such and such and such, and I got the same thing and you're not giving me anything? So as Councilman Sloan Griffin is stating, we painting ourselves into a corner. That's going to be egg on our face at some point, because at some junction we got to say no. And if I'm correct, you say $15,000 this was budgeted?
We have nothing budgeted for this amount.
For this event?
For this event, no.
So we got to come up with the $50,000 from out of the account.
Right, so it would be, outside of this budget.
How much is left in that budget, that line item that you're talking about pulling from?
I mean, for what's allocated, there isn't much. We pretty much have allocated everything in the budget. Now, there's some in the state accommodations tax, but we've used that for the security cameras. I'd have to look at exactly how much. I don't think we have 50,000 that it wasn't allocated. The only section that wasn't allocated was there was just kind of an amount in the state accommodations tax that just said to go towards the park. But that's, we have used some of that with the cameras, but we didn't have much. There was like about 3,500 or something left in the hospitality tax after we finished the allocation for all the events.
Councilman Griffin, to answer your question, on page 8 of our budget, shows revenues of $1,854,837 and expenses of $1,822,860 for a contingency balance of positive $31,977. So in this year's budget, it's just not there. And I echo Councilman Griffin's comments of, at some point, we're going to have to draw a line. We have actually already opened Pandora's box, as they say, and we've made an exception to our policy with the approval of the Westwood baseball tournament. So that's already been done. The question is, are we going to continue to go down that path and completely disregard the policy that we worked months and months over, and then disregard the budget that we worked at least 3 months over? Or are we going to say, at some point, we have to stick to the budget and the policies that we approved, and draw our line in the sand moving forward? So noble calls.
All good points. I will point out, you have bronze sponsorships, $1,250. You don't have to give them everything they're asking for, but we do have quite a few veterans living here in Blythwood who participate at Fort Jackson on a regular basis. And based on Mr. Williamson's comments, I think we could afford $1,250 for a bronze sponsorship. But it's up to the council.
Mr. Williams, what is the balance in the budget fund, the fund that you were talking about?
Okay. So like for hospitality tax, what we have in the fund balance, what's in the bank today is $676,000 roughly.
Between all the fund balances, we're still looking at about $1 million, right? When we look at the other ones that add to that 600, we're looking at about $1 million in total fund balances.
Oh, it's more than that.
That's what I thought.
The question isn't whether or not we have the money,
Right.
because we clearly do.
Right.
It's the question of not whether or not are we going to continue to approve requests outside of our 3-month period where we're accepting requests. Are we going to continue to make exceptions, or are we going to stick to our policy? If we're not going to stick to our policy, then why do we have one? But a bronze sponsorship is not a bad compromise. at $1,250.
Well, I've been asked a question, so I'm going to ask this other question. Can we wait, can this hold off until February, and we approve, the sponsorship and not break policy? We go with our policy in place? I mean, is it a dire need that it has to be done this moment, or can we wait till February during the application process?
Fundraiser's on November 10th.
Right, I mean, the only thing, the
That one
fundraiser.
is a little more urgent than the project. They'll probably always take our money if we decide to give it to them now or in 3 months. They'll still cash the check. So, the fundraiser probably a little more time sensitive than the park project overall.
I agree. I say we wait and budget it, let them apply in February and stick to our policy.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Okay. Hearing no motion, we will move to fiscal year 22 H-Tax final report for the 2021 Women's South Carolina Golf Association Golf Tournament. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you. Mr. Hastry, do you have this report? Sorry.
Thank you. I hope everybody had a chance to take a look at my write-up and the attached documentation. Again, a wonderful event out at Cobblestone. It's pretty much self-explanatory what the figures are. They reported revenue 57,994. The expenses 54,295. So if y'all approve the 20%, they'll have a net income of $3,500. This is an event that is very highly publicized. They gave me so much information, I couldn't get it all in the packet, but it is, you can read it for yourself. They have a lot of hotel rooms, a lot of room night stays. They had 71 players in the tournament. 79% came from outside 50 miles of Blythwood. The Pro-Am, 99 players, 61% came from outside of 50 miles of Blythwood, and they do a lot of different types of advertising, and they always are promoting the town of Blythwood. They also had the concert Friday at the amphitheater. So, great event in my opinion, and they're just waiting to see if we approve the 20%. They are going to do it again next year at Cobblestone.
So I'll be looking for a motion to approve the 20%, which is $5,000.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
And probably moved and seconded to approve the remaining 20%, $5,000. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, one
Please,
question.
Councilman.
Mr. Hasrock,
Sir.
did the requester submit the expense receipts to be
Yes.
verified against?
Yes.
You verified them per our policy?
Did I verify them?
Well, somebody on staff needs to,
I have to
yes.
say, I didn't go through every receipt to see if it matched what was on their budget. It's a stack this thick.
No, I
I can
understand.
do that if y'all
Fact-
want me to, but.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a policy that requests to match, to send the receipts, and if we don't verify that the receipts are what they say they are, then, again, I have a policy.
Okay, that
Just-
point taken, but I kind of trust them.
Okay.
Thank you.
No further questions, sir.
Other comments? Do we have a motion?
We already have a motion and a second on the floor, do we not?
Okay, any further discussion? Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Yes, and then lastly is the fiscal year 2022 H-Tax final report for the 2021 Oktoberfest. Mr. Hasterrock.
Thank you. Again, Oktoberfest happened last month. Again, I've written up the report with the statistical or financial information. Reported revenue, $50,307. Reported expenses, $43,119. Net income, 20% awarded, $71,88. It was a two-day format this year. They estimated attendance of 3,000 plus based on a vehicle count and also a zip code analysis. I included some figures on what percentage of revenue came from H-tax, what came from sponsorships, in-kind donations. About the same as last year, their major expenses, marketing, advertising, venue, bands, tents. Again, their zip code analysis revealed that 67.2% were from 29016 and other zip codes within a 10-mile radius. They had an increased number of vendors, local food trucks, 8 additional food vendors and craft vendors. Marketing campaign included, as you see, print ads, posters, Facebook posts. Pretty much tracks like last year, an increase in attendance, a two-day format, which they tried, and they've included their budget information. And Phil has done a nice write-up on his findings. If the 20% is awarded, it would be $3,600.
Comments?
I'll start off and just say that I appreciate what they've done with the increase in participants, increase in the vendors. I was here. I think most of us were. I think, with the entertainment they had, looking at the zip code analysis and stuff, I mean, everything looked good. I think Phil and his staff have done a wonderful job putting this thing on. It's fixing to be as a premier event as our 4th of July in the park because it's growing by leaps and bounds every year.
Other comments from council?
Mr. Hasrock, this is not a question for you, but how is attendance of 3,000 plus estimated based on cars?
Well, you could count the number of vehicles and the number of people in the vehicles. That would give you an estimate of your attendance.
Unless you were at a different event, I didn't see 3,000 plus people there.
I was there Saturday for a few hours, so I
There
can't.
Saturday for a few hours as
Yeah.
well.
I just know the parking filled up and they had to park elsewhere, and
Well-
shuttle over, come over.
They did have shuttle buses. I was not here Friday night, so.
People parked in as far as Trinity parking lot and came over.
I know I saw volunteers at every entrance with clipboards, and they wrote down your
Right.
zip code, and they asked, I think, 4 or 5 questions. Where are you from? How did you learn about the event? Did you come last year? I think there were, is that right, Mr. Fry? Okay.
Let me ask you
Go ahead, please.
question, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. What's the average attendance of our 4th of July event?
4,000 to 6,000.
4 to 6,000?
Yeah.
I didn't see that at this one. Now, I'm echoing Councilman Brock because for those events, it's so much traffic you can't move through town. And I know this may be very minute to argue attendance, but I think that's important because we moved through town. It was pretty much ease movement through town. Talking to some of the vendors, though, that I talked to walking through this campaign era and asked about the events in town, and some did bring up the attendance wasn't there at this level because some of them caught wind of the 3,000 plus and basically made it be known, let it be known to me that it wasn't there. So I'm just curious on the, are we counting repeat cars, normal park traffic, or Docos, I don't know. Blythwood Station, there's something, we're counting something wrong.
Well, we have to take into account the data that's presented to us. Now, one thing about the Oktoberfest, it was a 2-day event. So you do have a count on Friday, and you do have, a count on Saturday. Also, it's a longer event on Saturday than 4th of July in one respect, so people may be coming and going. But technically, we don't have a way to empirically verify, or audit the statistics from the chamber. And we leave it up to them to self-report.
That's a problem.
Based on
That's a
their
problem.
analysis.
That's a problem.
Well, it's going to be,
Well,
it's a phenomenon with any.
No, it's not, because we can get independent parties, third parties to do this. Where are all the pictures? Whenever we have the 4th of July, somebody throws a drone up in the air and they take a picture and the whole amphitheater is full. And the newspapers love to run those pictures because it shows a packed house.
Right.
Haven't seen a single picture of a crowd shot for this event. We've got to do a better job. I'm not faulting you, I'm pointing out a flaw in the system. If everybody is self-reporting, it's in everybody else's incentive to make that number as high as possible, and we can't debunk it. It's a problem. And then everybody shows up. Attendance always goes up, never goes down. Guess what was going on during the middle of Oktoberfest on Saturday? Take a wild guess. You get three, but you only need one.
I don't know.
Carolina home football game.
Yes.
85,000 people at Williams-Brice.
It wasn't no 85,000 people.
Well, that's what they're going to say. But
You can fudge them attendance all you want to.
and they do too. I'm not saying they don't.
You might have been lucky to have 50,000 people down there.
But there weren't 50,000 people here.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be. But here, I will address Councilman Sloan, and I can't speak for all the vendors, but I will speak for John. He closed a restaurant down that day, and his was set up here, and he did very well. Now, he didn't even open his restaurant that day because he knew he was going to do so well here in the park. Now, I can't speak for all 13 of them, but I can sure speak for him.
Well, not everybody's going to hit a home run. I just ran an event over the weekend, and I have a large selection of vendors, and some come up and say I did great, some come up and said I did okay, and some say, it could be better. So you're not going to hit a home run. And also, every event in this park is not going to be a home run. It's not going to be a 4,000 to 6,000, 7,000 person event. But the ones that are, I think, are clearly identifiable. I can't even speak. And we need to invest in those events, and the ones that aren't, some hard decisions need to be made.
Here's the thing, and I'm sorry, Councilman Brown.
I'm done.
How many deputy sheriffs were out here for that event?
For which event?
For this Oktoberfest.
I don't have to ask Phil. 4? 4, 6?
How many deputy sheriffs were present for this event, total, that worked this event?
I will come to the podium so I can be heard. There were 4 on Friday evening. There were 2 Saturday morning for the Volks Markets, and there was 4 for the rest of the duration. Deputy sheriffs. I paid them $1,800. Plus, I paid $200 for overnight security.
Do you know if they called in outside support for traffic?
No, they did not, to my knowledge. No reports of it.
Then there were no 3,000 plus people in this park.
I have here 2,413 zip codes that were collected of cars entering the park.
Mr. Mayor.
Please, Councilman Brown.
Mr. Fry.
Yes, sir.
If I walk into the park 3 times, do they ask me for my zip code 3 times?
No, sir. They don't ask you if you walk in, sir.
Yes, they absolutely asked me when I walked in. They asked me when I walked in the first time, so that's a false
Well,
statement.
good. This is from the cars that we got, the zip codes from the cars.
So you're only checking zip codes from cars? Are you getting them as they get out
Well,
of the
sir,
car?
I appreciate your question. We station people at each entrances of the park.
Yeah, okay.
To collect zip codes of people entering the park from the cars. Here's the data that's there.
Okay, so if I didn't drive to the park, if I walked from my house, which is very doable, are you not collecting my zip code?
I am not standing at each point of the park. I am running the event.
No,
Thank you.
You're not answering my question. though.
I answered your question. I have 2,413 zip codes, only ones that were collected from the people we engaged.
If I have 8 hours, I can write 2,400 zip codes on a piece of paper too. That's not the point. That's
This is
what
not
I'm
my
asking you.
writing, maybe it's yours.
No, it's not mine either, and I'm not questioning whether or not those zip codes are accurate. I'm asking you, is everybody being counted once, or is there a possibility that people are being double counted? I don't believe this number. So I'm trying to ask you to explain it
I think we can double
to
count
me.
anything we want to.
I absolutely agree, and I'm
Well,
asking
go
you
for
if
it.
it's possible.
So, Mr. Fry, question.
Yes, sir.
Have you considered, or you or the chamber considered hiring a third party to do the count?
This was collected from Westwood High School and Blythwood ROTC students that were engaged to do this, of which we paid them $400 each to compile this. I say pay, we gave a donation to that effect.
Understand, and that's a great cause to give back to the
And that
schools.
is what we have done at all of our events.
But I'm asking, have you considered hiring a third-party company to get away from the paper trail and have a professional company come out and do it? This may.
Well, if it's the
alleviate
wishes of
some
the
these
chamber,
pieces.
the council, we will go along with whatever the policy may be for all people concerned. If they want to engage third parties, the people come out and do those counts and incur those costs, we'll include them in our estimates.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to call the question, and let's vote on this.
Do I have a motion? I make a motion, we approve. Second. Any further discussion?
I do.
Go ahead.
Just want to ask Mr. Fry a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fry, would you say that, since it's a two-day event, that some of the zip codes are double?
I would have no idea how that is. They were collected on Friday evening and on Saturday. So that would mean somebody came on Friday evening and they came again on Saturday.
Correct. So they would stop me at the gate each day and ask me my zip code, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you count on Friday, you count this many, and you count on Saturday, you count that many, but the zip codes could be the same from Friday and Saturday. Is that a fair assumption?
It's a distinct possibility.
So that means your number is cut by 67.2%.
No, it does not mean that.
You got a motion, Mr.
So is that a bad thing? If you had 2,400 zip codes, if they came 2 days, you still have a large turnout for this event. I don't get the logic behind this debate, but is that bad? Should we not fund it since we only have 2,400 people? Is that what we're saying here? Are we calling our volunteer students and teachers liars?
No, that's not
Okay,
what
well,
we're
it
saying.
sounds like it.
No,
It
that's
certainly
not
sounds
what we're
like
saying, no.
You said you didn't believe those numbers.
I don't believe there's 3,000 plus people in this park, over the 2 days in this park. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they didn't collect 2,400 zip codes.
Okay.
There's a difference. We need unique verification at all events and a unbiased third party to do it. But there is a motion on the floor.
Any further discussion?
I got one,
Councilman Griffin,
sir.
go.
I think we need to get great calls to give back, to get the students involved. I'm not going to discredit that. That's an awesome cause to give back, donate money to the school, but I do think we need to be considering looking at some third parties so that we get out of, some of these pieces. If I'm asking questions, it may appear that I don't trust these students, when the students technically are not in question. It's the process that's in question and not me questioning the students doing the work. So I think we need to really look at something in the future to get away from that so that we don't put students into play and we're playing with questioning the integrity of these students back and forth. It's kind of pulling at heartstrings.
Please, Councilman Griffin.
This, what we're discussing now probably would be for the future, the third party. That would be something the council needs to make that decision on. In reference to the Oktoberfest, the only thing that I'm trying to find out is, are we saying we had 3,000 plus people in 2 days?
That is what I'm saying, yes, sir.
All right.
Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Fry. Move tonight to the open citizens' comments. Yes, ma'am. Ms. McLean.
My name is Frankie McLean, and I'm representing the Historical Society of Blythwood. Want to thank everyone that had the opportunity to come out to our open house. We thank the town for all of its support. If you didn't have a chance to come last weekend, please come any afternoon or any day on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday from 9 to 4 to see how our museum's improving and how we're trying to represent Blythwood in such a positive light. Also, this Saturday, on November the 6th, from 10 until 5, we'll have our Veterans Day program. This started 5 or 6 years ago with a very small program at the Historical House. Now it's expanded due to all the support from the town, and we'll have a beautiful event this weekend, and we hope everyone can attend. And then on a personal note, if you're home by 7:50, a young man from Blythwood, South Carolina, who grew up here, is now at the Air Force Academy, and he will be flying into the NFL football game carrying the American flag. And he did this on Saturday at a college, and the announcer said his name, and it is a McLean. But I didn't say it just for that. But his name is Thomas McLean, and on Saturday they announced Thomas McLean from Blythwood, South Carolina, is carrying the American flag. And that will be announced hopefully this evening. So just wanted everybody to know something positive about all of our young people in Blythwood. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other citizen comments? Comments from the planning commissioners? Again, thank you for hard work on that comprehensive plan. And I will just remind everyone, tomorrow we vote in the town of Blythwood, so please participate at the Recreation Center. What is it, 126 Boney Road? 126 Boney Road, right across from the old BHE school. Please come out and vote. I believe the polls are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So come out and exercise your right. And don't forget about Veterans Day Saturday. Thank you, Ms. McLean. And then just as one final note, I will get with Steve and Mr. Williamson. We will start a more thorough review of these receipts. But under my guidance to Mr. Williamson, every year we audit every nonprofit that takes money from this town. It started this year. It will continue as long as I'm mayor. So we always get a professional audit to look at everything that we've given them and where that money goes. And that will be, a report will be given to the council. So as we continue to approve these HTAX and ATAX funds, know that these organizations are audited. They are officially nonprofits registered with the state. And as far as I understand from our initial reporting, everyone is in good standing so far. So I just wanted to make sure you're rest assured with that information. Any final open citizen comments? Council members, please, yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank everyone that showed up for October the 26th Candidates Forum. And I really appreciate that and shows the commitment to the town of Blythwood. And also my condolences to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, council members, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion, sir.
Second.
Then properly motion seconded to adjourn tonight's meeting. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you all.